Yeah,
What's up? What's up?
what's going on, man?
Not much. You?
Great. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, so we can start, all right?
No problem.
All right, man. Thanks for doing this with me. As you
Yeah.
know, my name is Taa Tomondo. I'm
hmm
passionate about helping African entrepreneurs. When I first started my journey, I didn't
hmm
have a blueprint to look for or other
hmm
African entrepreneurs that I could learn from. So
Yeah,
you
yeah,
always have those excuses like, these guys are doing it because they grew up in America. They're doing it
yeah,
because they grew up in Asia. But if I see like, a millionaire like you who came
yeah.
from the same environment that I came from, doing
Yeah.
it big, I feel inspired. So now I have no
Thanks.
excuses but just to go ahead and do it. So I
Thanks,
created my
man.
own platform, Making it
hmm
an Africa podcast, so that I could share that information with other fellow African entrepreneurs. As I said, when I first started my journey, I didn't have
hmm
access to that information. So that's
Yes.
why me and you are here, just to to learn about your journey and all those exciting things, man. So I don't know if you have any questions before we get started.
No, no, man. Just go ahead. Just go ahead. I'm good.
Man, I like your book, by the way. You Can't
Thank
Save
you.
Your Way to Wealth.
Well, yeah.
It's a wonderful book. I want to learn more about it because myself too, I don't believe you can save money in order to be wealthy. Because a lot of people, like, you have $20. People always say, like, save money, save money. What are you saving if you have $20? If you're making
Exactly.
$20 a month, how long is it gonna take you to save that for you to get where you want to be? So I want to know, like, what
Yeah.
inspired you to write that book, and yeah, all of that.
Okay, cool. So what inspired me and my partner, who's my wife, to write the book is, after diving into real estate like 6 years ago. So the journey started 10 years ago, but we got into like our first investment property. We bought it in 2014. So we got a lot of questions. A lot of
Yeah.
people were asking, how did you do this? How can I do this? Right. So at first we're like, okay, you know what, let's mentor one or two people, whatever. And then that was awesome. And then we stopped because we got busy with projects in the States, projects in Canada. And then during COVID, right, we got to mentor actually about 20 people. And as we're doing that, we realized that we were just limiting ourselves the time, right? Um, we decided, you know what, let's look for something where we can impact a lot of people. How can we do that? And then that's how we came up with the book. Like, I think, we need to write a book so that it could be available around the world and people can learn how to invest in real estate. And that's how the book came about.
Okay, and you can save your way to wealth.
Yeah.
So explain that more, please.
Yeah, so you can't save your way to wealth. I know, like, every single day we're kind of bombarded, with these, like, hey, you gotta save money, blah blah blah, and all that stuff, right? But can you actually save your way to wealth? Can you actually stash your money in a savings account in hopes that in 20 or 25 or 30 years when you retire, you are going to be, that money will be able to sustain you, right?
Yeah.
And the answer is no. Right?
Yeah.
Because, for example, the other day I was talking in a group, and I we're talking about, they were asking, like, okay, you can't save your way to wealth. Like, I put money in the savings account, I keep on putting it and I'll be good. Like, in 20 years, I'm like, okay, look at it this way, right? There's, I don't know if you've ever heard of the rule of 72, right? The
Yeah.
rule of 72 is when you divide the interest rate you're getting from your bank or whatever it is to find out how long it's going to take you to double your money, right?
Okay.
So right now in Canada, the interest rate is like between 1%, 2%, whatever in the savings account. So if you divide 2% into 72, it's going to take you 36 years to double your money. All right. But
Yeah.
when you look at it in a different way now, in a flip side of a credit card, right? Credit cards here are like,
Sorry, man. I don't know if it's your network or it's my network because it got cut off a little bit. Oh, it's still doing that. Uh, oh,
I
can you hear
lost
me
your,
now?
yeah, I can hear you now. I don't know what
Can you hear
happened
me?
there.
So I don't
Yeah,
know
I
if
can
it's
hear
your
you.
service or it's mine. Yeah.
I
So,
don't
so,
know.
so you're explaining the credit card thing, and then it started like,
Okay, so I was saying like the flip side of it is credit card here in Canada. I think they started like you got 19% in a credit card, right? The bank will
okay.
double their money in 3 years if you owe money on a credit card. But for you to double your money in a savings account, it will take you 36 years. So then, how do you save your way to wealth? How? It's impossible, right? So you got to look at other ways of, what have other, millionaires or
Yeah.
multi-millionaires, what have they done to, to build wealth and stuff like that. And one of the ways, which is what we do, is invest in real estate, invest in properties, right? Where, you get the appreciation, you get to do so much. The tenants get to pay your mortgage, for 20, 25 years. You got a free paid property, and you can do whatever you want. So there's so many ways that I loved about getting into real estate.
Okay, and so that's amazing, man. How did you end up? Because you're based in USA and Canada, so I want to know like how your journey was. Like you came from Zimbabwe, right?
Yeah.
At what age did you move to America?
So I came from Zimbabwe when I was 18. I moved to Canada in Montreal. So it was more or less, imagine being put in a province or a state where everybody speaks French. It's a French state.
Yeah,
So in Zim, there's no French. It's English, sure now, and Ndebele, whatever, right?
yeah.
So I had to learn that. I had to learn French. I had to get a job at McDonald's. I worked there for 8 years. And during that time, of course,
Ah, ATS, bro. Come on, man. Okay.
yeah, I used to flip burgers for 8 years, man. So
Yeah.
yeah, so
Oh my
so
God.
yeah, so during that time, of course, I was into hip hop a lot. So my money was going towards putting the rims on the car, buying the baggy jeans, buying the chain and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So after I finished school, my college, I went to university. In university, that's when I had like the grand awakening or the epiphany, whatever they call it, right?
Yeah.
I was doing psychology. I was majoring in psychology in university. And after doing 1 year, I wasn't doing too good with my grades. And at the same time, my student debt was like at the time $15,000. And I looked at what I needed to do in order for me to come out with a PhD, for example, because with psychology, you gotta really like level up,
Go up there.
right? There
Yeah.
you go. So that's when I saw that I was gonna come out with like over 100,000 in student debt, right? So from
Yeah.
there, I was like, man, I don't even know if I really want to do this. And at the same time, I'm going to come out with that. Is there anything better out there? So that's when I went on Google and I researched on what had made a lot of millionaires around the world. And that's when I found real estate.
Oh.
So from there, I sort of like did all the research. And then I decided I wanted to drop out of school and pursue that.
And what year were you in? Like when you decided to drop out? Like what year was that? Like second
First
year?
year.
Or like first year?
So
Oh,
first year. End of first
that's good. And what was the reaction of your parents? Because I know education is very important in an African home.
Yeah, man. So lucky for me, I had been living by myself. I was like my own man for a long time.
Okay.
So it was sort of like, yes, I can tell them and then they'll be mad, but there's really nothing they can do because I've been making decisions for myself for a while.
Okay.
The biggest challenge for me was to convince my girlfriend, who's now my wife now, that I wanted to drop out of school and pursue real estate. So basically I had to sell her the dream. Right?
Okay.
So yeah. Yeah.
I got it. So how did you get that first property or the money to get into real estate? How did you make that happen?
All right. So the first thing that came to my mind for me to drop out of school was I don't have money, right? So to get
Mhm.
into real estate, you need money because that's what I had been finding, or what I found, around when I was looking. Like, you need to have money. So the first thing for me was like, if I stay here, I'm not making any money, right? By the time I
Yeah.
decide to make money when I finish school, I'll have so much debt and whatever, blah blah blah, right? So I decided that I wanted to go up north where I could work. People up north get paid a bit more than down south and stuff like that. So I decided to go up there so that I can work 3 jobs, 2 jobs so that I can save enough money to have a down payment, at least for my first property, right?
You can save
So
your way to wealth, though.
that was the idea, right? You
Okay.
get what I mean? You got to save money. You got to make
Yeah.
that money work for you. So the
Okay.
difference here is you can't save your way to wealth means that you can't save money and just leave it there, right? You got to
Okay.
invest that money. You got to make that money make money for you, right?
Got
So
it.
anyways,
Got it.
at the beginning, it was all about I need to save enough money, get into my first property, and then from there, I can take the cash flow from there and then still work, save, and then buy more, and then keep on doing it over and over again, right?
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
so in 2012, we tried to get a property. We couldn't because our credit was bad. And that's one thing that when you come to America, nobody tells you about. Nobody educates you about credit, how to manage credit. I came to Canada, took credit cards, used them, didn't pay them back, you know, and stuff like that. So it basically caught up with me when I was going for the first property. So it took us another year for us to fix that to get into the first property. Now, the first property, which was like, we still own that property till today. That property like made us who we are. The learning experience and how much money it has been making over the years. So what we did was we got a bungalow. I don't know. Do you know what a bungalow looks like?
Not sure. What does a
Okay, so
bungalow look like?
it's a single level home. Okay, but that has a basement suite.
Do you call that a ranch too? Is that what you call a
I
ranch?
think so. I think so.
Yeah, I used to own a ranch. Yeah, I know. So yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. So what we did was we converted the basement suite into a rental unit, a 3-bedroom rental unit, right?
Okay.
So what that meant when we moved in is that the tenants that were living downstairs were paying for all our expenses. So we were living upstairs for free, right?
Oh,
And
okay.
once we started collecting those checks to the bank or taking those checks to the bank, it became addictive. And then it got to a point where we converted the upstairs. It was 2-bedroom upstairs. We added 2 more bedrooms. And then we moved out of the property because my wife was pregnant and we were doing some renovation that it wasn't good, right? So we moved out. We lived with my in-laws. And then we rented out the whole space.
Yeah.
That house or this house at that point was cash flowing just over $2,000 a
Nice.
month, right?
Nice.
That's money
Yeah.
we didn't have to work for. That's money that was guaranteed every single month, right? To date, it's making close to $3,000 a month.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's how we started with just
Okay.
one.
Okay. So you say something important that you dropped out of school to focus on real estate because you figured out that's where the money was at. What do you have to say about education and wealth? The relationship between the two. Does one need to be educated or to have you're a millionaire already without a college degree, and you have a lot of stories like that, but I still don't know what the confusion is about when people pursue education in order to make wealth. So how do you see it yourself? Do you need to
So,
be educated
okay.
to get to that level?
Okay. So what I noticed from my formal years in school and stuff like that is that school doesn't teach you this, what happens on the street.
Yeah.
School teaches you to be an employee, right? Whereas you see people who come out of school, they don't even know how to balance a checkbook. They don't even know how to pay bills or whatever that is, to balance all that stuff, right? So
Yeah.
I'm not saying that school is bad. School is good. You got to be educated to a certain point because you got to be able to count your money, right? You got to be able to,
Yeah.
right? But it's important that you also get, for me personally, it was mentorship, right? For me to be able to scale the business that we have in real estate from where it was when we began to where we are today is because we took mentorship from people who were doing this, right? They learned this in their university years too, but they did not drop out. They finished school. They actually took money. They took student loans. They took their student loan and they bought their first property. And then they got their friends to rent that property with them. So they were living there for free. But anyways, so those guys, at the point where we got the mentorship with them, they had over 100 properties. Okay.
Nice.
So we took mentorship from those guys. So what I'm saying is education is important, right? Whether it's going to school and getting your degree and all that stuff, you have to know what you're getting yourself into. So if you go and become an accountant, right? I've seen accountants who have gone on to start accounting firms, which are massive, right? I've seen people that have like doctors, or who like started working in the hospital, and then now they've went on to open their own private practice and stuff like that, right? So education is needed, but now it's about you personally. When you get to a certain point in life, you gotta be able to be open to look at what the world has to offer, right? Because what I find where the problem is sometimes is like, there's just one way. Like when we grew up, my parents, the only thing they knew was school.
True.
So if there's no school, you're a bum. You're gonna be a garden boy. You're gonna be, you know what I mean? You're gonna be a house girl. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's the options available for them.
Right? But when you come up here in North America, you'll find that there's so many like ways you can do this. You know, you can even take trades. You can be a plumber and make more money than someone who's working in the bank, right? You can be an electrician. You can be like, there's so many things you can do. So education is important.
Okay, and you mentioned something about mentorship. Is something that played a key role in your success. Tell me more. How did you meet your mentor, and how did their relationship begin? And did you have to pay for that and all of that?
Okay, so the way I met my mentor was through TV. So I used to watch his show so much. So the first house that we bought, right, is an investment property. We basically followed everything he did on TV. And it worked out, right? So when it happened that he was coming to a city near us, we decided, you know what, we actually want to see him because, you know, we have done this because of him. So when we went to see him, that's when we realized, or we heard that, you know, he told us that he was having, you know, mentorship programs and stuff like that. And then the one that we took at the time was the ultimate one, and it was $20,000. And that was 6 years ago. All right. Oh. So you can imagine who in their right mind has $20,000 to just like, here, I want to learn. You know,
not a lot of people do that. I'll tell you that.
Right. And even us, we didn't have the money, right? We had to swipe our credit card because we felt like there was just this vibe that, you know, this was our way that we had to take. So we had to swipe our $20,000 credit card at 19.99%. And we told ourselves that we were going to make this money back within the first year, right? Yeah. And we did. And we did make that money back. We basically made sure that we took advantage of every single thing they taught us.
You took the risk, man. You took the risk. And so was it worth it paying the $20,000? Do you think, what changed? That's what I want to know. I think it was worth it seeing where you are here right now, but I want to see like, what was the shift? Because you already mentioned that you already had a property already in place. So how did your lending change after, like, you know, after investing in the mentoring program that you invested in?
So I think the first thing that happened was the shift in mindset, right? Okay. So when we were doing it, just me and my wife, it was just like, okay, let's do this, blah, 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 right? But when my son came into the picture, it changed the mindset. It was like, okay, now, you know, we want to build generational wealth. We don't want to be in a situation where like our parents were or are, right? Like my parents, like they're not rich people. They're like, you know, I consider myself as we were poor because, you know, the cost, the way we lived and stuff like that. I think on my book that I'm writing, that's going to be coming up next year, I wrote that, you know, seeing bread in our house was like, you know, like Christmas. You know what I mean?
Damn, times are tough, my brother.
Right? So we used to eat mtakura almost on a daily basis, right? For breakfast, right?
That's
So when my son was born, I had to make that shift. Like, do I want to be that guy who's like, you know, depending on my son's future to support me, right? When I retire, like, oh, you need to send, dad and mom money and all that stuff. I was like, no, this has to stop with me because we are doing that. Do we want our kids to do that? No. So what should
No.
we do? Let's build that generational wealth that will make sure that when we reach 60, 65, whatever, right, we can
Yeah.
take care of ourselves. We don't need our kids to take care of ourselves. So yeah, so that was where the shift was.
Okay. And so with the mentorship,
Yeah.
it seemed like it went great and it worked out great for you. And I believe you mentor other people. What challenges have you experienced? Because a lot of us, when you see someone who's so successful like you and you want to be mentored by you, we're looking for those instant results, or we're looking for kind of like the same story as yours for, because you got in, your thing started working out maybe a few years after, but for somebody it might not work out like that. So how has been your experience being with the people that you have been mentoring? Has they been successful as you, or you have had some challenges? Some people are like, this guy is a fraud, it's not worth it being mentored by him. So can you explain on that?
So so in anything that you do as a mentor, there's always going to be those people who are not going to make it and people that are going to make it, right?
Okay.
Like if I tell you, like some people that we started with, they still don't own any property up to date, and we got mentorship at the same time.
Okay.
Right. So it's the obsession that you have to be with success. Do you know what I mean? You have to be obsessed with being successful. So if you're going to be mentored, like when we mentor people, we give them all the tools that they need in order to be successful. Now, application, right? Because you got to apply, you got to execute. So if you cannot execute, then you're not going to be successful. Having said that, I'm pretty sure you've looked at my profile. We've had some students that have really succeeded in getting into real estate. We most recently, I just posted a student who had no idea that they could scale to where they are today. I think they added about 11 doors, right, within a space of 6 months.
Oh, nice. 11. What does 11
right?
doors mean in the real estate world? What does 11 doors mean?
It means where you collect rent, right? So you're getting rent from 11 doors. People. Exactly. There you go. 11 doors, 11 people. Right?
Got it now. Okay. So,
and I'm not talking about rooms. I'm not talking about room rentals. I'm talking about actual units. That's what it is. Yeah.
Okay. So, in Africa right now, your experience, my experience is different. The circumstances back home are totally different. And, so how do we encourage or motivate young people that are coming from nothing? As you said, you're having mutakura for breakfast. When you see bread, you're excited. It was like Christmas. So if you're in that situation and you want to be in a place that you're in right now, but you don't know how to get there, what advice would you give someone like that?
I would say, man, to be successful, you need to be patient. Right? Your time is going to come, but for your time to come, you got to put in work. Right? I think I had the same question a couple of weeks ago. Someone was asking me, look, man, I'm in the rural areas. What do you want me to do? You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing to do and stuff like that, right? And I was like, the first thing that you need to do is to, notice someone who's doing well in the community, in the rural areas, in the village or whatever that is, right? Go and get mentorship from that person. Go find out why they are doing so well, right? Of course, you're gonna say, because a lot of times what happens, like, we got so much ego, right? We got so much ego that we feel like, I don't want to go there. What is he gonna think of me, or whatever that is? But for you to be successful in life, you gotta put that ego down, right? You gotta be humble, basically, right? So you go and ask that guy, how do you do your stuff? That guy, there's two things that might happen. That guy might say, you gotta pay for me to teach you whatever I'm doing, or you gotta work for me for free. You gotta come and help me out when I'm doing stuff, right? So you can start that way to learn on how to be successful, whatever that is he's doing. From there, then basically what I'm saying is identifying people that are successful and seek mentorship from those people.
Okay. So this is the other challenge, you know, when somebody, if you're staying in a community and there's one person that's successful, the issue that comes with that is that that person is approached by so many people for mentorship and things like that. So it's kind of hard, like even like messaging them to say, yo, bro, to take time of their day to say, can you mentor me and stuff like that. So what would you suggest or advise on the approach of creating that relationship of asking somebody to help you or to be your mentor? How do you approach that?
I would say persistency, man. You got to be
Yeah.
persistent. You got to show that you want it, right?
Okay.
Because the person is not going to say, like, the first time you go there and be like, ah, okay, I come do this or whatever, right? They want to
Yeah.
see that you have it in you, that you are serious, that you want to do what you want to do. Most young people, they would come and be like, oh, whatever, one or twice. Oh, he doesn't want to, you know, he thinks he's better than everybody else or whatever that is, right? But that's not the point. The point is to show that you are, you know, you have the zeal to do it, right? And if you want to succeed, you have to be humble. Remember what I said? You got to be humble. And when you're humble, you're going to learn a lot. Learn to keep quiet and listen.
Listen a lot.
Right? Yeah. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, and it seemed like, you know, a lot of entrepreneurs that I talk to, and from my experience as well, humility and being humble is something that always come up. Be humble, be humble. And a lot of people kind of miss the point, but I think it's very relevant when it comes to humility. By talking about being humble and things like that, let's talk about being materialistic in the entrepreneur world. As you can tell, I'm in this car here because I like things, you know, because things, they motivate me to get wherever I want to get to. But other people don't understand it, like, okay, why is he in that car? Because I feel like if we don't do things like this, it won't inspire somebody. Because that's what inspired me to do what I'm doing. Because I saw somebody with a Lamborghini. I'm like, damn, I want that Lamborghini. How did you get that? And this guy was like, oh, I don't know if you watched the Tayo Lopez video on YouTube called Garage in the Lamborghini or Lamborghini video on YouTube.
No,
You
I
never
haven't
watched it? Yeah, so he's just in the garage and saying like, oh, I'm in my garage right now and this is my Lamborghini. Do you know how I bought this car? Knowledge. And yet a lot of books behind him. I'm like, oh, damn. Okay, so I have to read to get to that. But that wasn't the point. But that got me started. You know my point? So I see that you have the Maserati. I see that you have the Range Rover. So what do you think about being materialistic in the entrepreneurial world? What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on that is, in life, you got to live, man. You got to enjoy life when you can.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can stash all this money in the bank and then you wake up, like, just like this year. This year, COVID came, you know, people died, you know, and people are still dying. And you leave the world without even enjoying it because you're busy, like, stashing money away. So if there's anything that, you know, this year has taught us is enjoy your life.
True.
Right? So whether it's buying a Louis Vuitton bag or it's buying a Ferrari or Range Rover or whatever it is, it's your happiness. You know, it's not, my happiness is not your happiness, right? But you gotta be strong in the mind here, because you're gonna get people who are going to say you're showing off, you are this and that, or you're this and that, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, there are people actually that I've met that don't spend their money because they're afraid of what other people are going to say. Right? Do you want to live like a life like that, where you're afraid, you're always thinking of what other people are going to think of you?
No.
Right? And talking about that, I actually did a video that's on Zim Celebrity right now. I did a video where I was just like mimicking Passion Java, right?
Yeah.
And and the comments that are there, I'm like, man, you guys, y'all gotta change your mindset, man.
True.
You gotta change your mindset. If you guys think you're actually affecting me, you're going crazy. You're crazy.
But still, we're living life, man. Life is too
Yeah,
short. The reason of
yeah,
living is to live your life to the fullest. Why live
yeah, yeah,
empty? You need to die full,
yeah,
So,
yeah.
what are your last words that you give to young entrepreneurs out there who want to be in a place that you are in right now?
I would say, I mean, one of the most important thing that I realized and that I've been like, finding out as well is to be an entrepreneur, it's something most of the time it's in you. All right.
Yeah.
Sometimes it starts in high school, sometimes it starts primary school or whatever it is, right? Most of them that I've spoken to, they had some sort of like, they touched this and that when they were young and stuff like that. But not to say that you can be an entrepreneur, at 20 or 30 or 50, whatever that is, right? But
True.
what I want to say is, you know, in order for you to succeed in life and whatever you want to do, you need to know your why. You need to know the reason why you want to do that, right? Money is
Mhm.
not enough. Most people want to be successful because they want to have a lot of money, right? And that's the
Yeah.
reason why they fail, because they get into real estate, for example, and then they get two or three tenants that are giving them issues. And guess what? They shut down. They sell the property because it's just too much, right?
For them, yeah.
Because they were doing it for the money, not for, generational wealth, not for maybe, your family. It has to be dear in you, the reason why you're doing that. So that's one thing. You gotta, know your why you're doing that. The second one is get mentorship. You
Mm.
can go to school, right, and be an
Yeah.
accountant, whatever it is, but at the end of the day, when you come out of there, you gotta follow people that are doing what you see yourself doing in the future. If you're trying to be an entrepreneur, for sure there's a lot of entrepreneurs that have done it so well as accountants, accounting firms, and all that stuff. Get mentorship. Learn the street smarts of how to do stuff, right? And I
Yeah.
think those are the for me, those are the. And then third, do not care what people think of you.
Yeah.
Never ever care what people think of you. You are your own person. Whatever you do, the consequences come to you, not to them. Your bills are paid by you, not them, right? So
Yeah.
so whatever you do in life, just hold yourself accountable, and it's only you, not them. So yeah.
Okay, you mentioned something very important, which is know your why you're doing something. If you get into something just for the money, you can make the money, or you won't be that happy. Or at the end of the day, you do something, but you get out real quick because you didn't know the reason why you're doing it when you face challenges. So my
Yeah.
question is that for me myself, I believe everybody can get wealthy differently. There are different
Mhm.
paths to wealth. Your path
Mhm.
is not going to be my path. So what I've
Exactly.
seen a lot of people doing is like, I see you doing real estate. I'll be like, okay, I want to get into real estate because this guy is doing it. But that's not necessarily
Yeah.
my path to wealth. You have your
Yeah.
strength, I have my own strength. I have things that I like, and your things that
Yeah.
you enjoy doing. So
Yeah.
when you're doing real estate, it comes natural to you. But for a person like me, who's trying to just like be in a place like you, just following you, and just forcing it. So I don't know. How do you see that? Do you think someone like me, if it's not my part, I can just be like, oh, I want to do real estate and just do it and be successful? So I don't know. I don't know if you get my question or
I
what.
do.
Yeah.
I do get your question. So I actually had forgotten to talk about this. So it's not. So when you want to get somewhere, when you want to be successful, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that the things that you're going to do along the way are going to be you're going to be passionate about,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
We used to be cleaners. We used to clean people's houses, right? Before we
Yeah.
owned any real estate, right?
Yeah.
But guess what? The money that we're making as cleaners, the money that I was making as flipping burgers, the money we're making as hotel agent, whatever that is, right? That money helped to get to that first thing, right? And then from there, something else happened, right? Another business we opened helped us with the cash flow. Were we passionate about that business? No,
No.
right? But
Yeah.
now I'm in a space where I'm doing what I'm passionate about, what I love, right?
Mm.
So some people might see real estate as, okay, I'm going to make money, but I don't like it, right? But I want to get to do something that I like. Should I start there? is it a possibility to start there, stack up my money, and then I can do what I'm passionate about? Yes, of course you can do that.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. So you have to take a lot of shit before you get to where
Yes.
you where you want to go. Hey, that's amazing, my brother. But anyway, thanks for doing this with me. How best can people reach out to you, and can
Yeah.
people message you with questions and stuff like that, and how they can get to your book as well too?
All right, cool. So you can reach me here on Instagram, of course, as Z Tsikira. I think that's my thing. Z Tsikira. You can also go to the family one, which is the Tsikiras. So the Tsikiras, you can actually get it as a website. You can get us on YouTube as well, the Tsikiras. You can get us on Facebook. And then if you just go on Google and type my name, Zeb Tsikira, you'll find me. If you go on YouTube, you'll find me. So you'll find me anywhere. So wherever you feel like you want to reach out to me, go ahead and do that. And we also, as you said, you asked before about our mentorship program. We do have, a mentorship program where we mentor people how to start getting into real estate. And it's called 16-Week Investor, 16-Week Investor. So you can actually look for it on Google. We got a website, 16weekinvestor.com. But yeah, I think I've exhausted all of them.
Thanks, Zeb, man. I appreciate it. I understand you're a very busy man. It's just after Christmas. I know you have a family, but you took your time and of the day to share this valuable information with us. And I do appreciate it, man. I appreciate your time.
No problem. And can you also send me this video?
Definitely. I'm going to download it, and then I'll share with you maybe by the end of the day.
That's fine. That's fine.
All right.
Thank you so
Perfect,
much.
Zeb. Thanks, man. Take care, bro. Thanks.
All right. Take care.
All right.
Cool.
Bye.